Hello everyone and welcome to Sewing Saturdays. My name is Gina and today I was asked for a couple of my friends and a couple emails that I got that they wanted to learn how to make a wine bag, but they wanted something that would hold 4 bottles versus the one that I've made that was 1 bottle. So then I decided to make this one and show you guys how to make this one that you can use it for your wine shopping, because now Christmas coming, we always go to the liquor store and buy some bottles. Sometimes they're hard to bring home. So I created this bag, so I will give you all the instructions to make this one here, and this one holds 4 bottles. All right, so for this project, what we're going to be needing is, it's not a hard project, it's very simple. So what we're going to be needing, let me just grab my materials. I'm going to put this one to the side. So what I have here, what I did is I cut 1 yard, like 36 inches of fabric. This one I'm going to use the grapes, and my lining is going to be this cream color, also going to be 36 by 36. So what I have here is 36 by 36. All right, and really 2 yards of fabric will give you the full bag, even the handles, because when you cut a yard of fabric you cut 36 inches, and then when you cut the width of the fabric is normally 42, so when you bring it down to 36 you end up with some big strips, then you can cut your handles from that. All right, so after you have your fabric cut into 36 by 36, so if you see, if I open, that would be that way, so it would be 36 and then 36. So you're gonna have that folded in half, because it comes in the bolt folded in half anyway. Then you're gonna have like your open area there, like that. Okay, and then you're gonna bring this open area to your other open area. You can leave right sides together, it's fine. Then you're gonna fold it like that. So the fold of your fabric is gonna be here. There's 2 pieces here with the fold, and this also is the fold. So now I have this like this, right? So here is all my openings, right? Okay, so after I have that, I'm gonna get my ruler and I'm gonna go from the end here in this direction towards the fold. Don't cut your fold, is where the opening is. From there in, okay, I'm gonna go 14 inches in, and I'm gonna put a little dot there. So from here to here is 14 inches. All right, and from the top to this side, again where your opening is, all your openings are, you're gonna also go 14 inches down. So if I go from 1 to 14 would be here, and so I have my line here, and then I would go here, mark it again, 14 here. All right, and then I need 14 in this way. Okay, so 14 this way, and from the bottom also we already done that, 14 this way. Let's see where we have our opening. So then you're gonna draw a square. So you're gonna go here and draw a square. So the square that you're gonna have here in the middle is gonna be 14 by 14. If you want to make it easier, you know your fabric was 36, right? So you know where your folds are. So if you go here and you go 4 inches from the fold up, all right, see, 4 inches to the fold up should only leave you with 14. All right, so I'm gonna go even this way. I'm going to put 4 inches from my fold up, and then I'm going to look from my 14 from one. Actually, my ruler is backwards. Let's put it this way, it'll be easier. So 4 inches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. Okay, 4 inches and 14 in. So 4 inches from my fold up, and 14 in is right here. See where I already created that line. Then I would go here and create my line across. Okay, then the same thing would work the same way here. If I put my 4 inches there, you see there my 4 inches, and I count down. See, I have my ruler on the fold of the fabric again. This is where it's open. Okay, and I will put on the 4 to the 14 would be here, and that's 4 inches in, so it would be right here. So see, it's where I have my fold. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna get a cutter, and we're just gonna cut it that square out. Okay. And you're gonna go here, do the same thing, 4 inches. That's where it is. Okay, just okay. So now I end up with 4 pieces here. That's 14 by 14. So we're gonna put this to the side, and we're gonna talk about our main fabric. So this is our main fabric, our outside fabric. So after you open, you're gonna end up with a piece like this. All right, just like this. Okay, now it's up to you. You can use a stabilizer, like a fusible fleece or something like that, and stabilize your main fabric. Or you can just leave it as a simple bag and leave it like this one here. I actually use fusible fleece, so it's kind of thick. All right, this one I'm not gonna fuse it. I'm just gonna see the difference between that one and that one. So you're gonna get your lining, and you're gonna cut it exactly the same way we did this one, and you're gonna put it to the side. Okay, you're gonna do exactly the same thing. So now we can start sewing this one. If you're using this bag for a gift for someone, I recommend you would add a little pocket. Okay, because then you can put a little card, a little note or something. If not, you can just leave it plain. In this case here, I'm gonna leave it plain. And also, this type of bag works better with fabrics that have no direction, because as you see, I'm using a big piece. If this had a direction, one side would be upside down. See, one side would have been upside down. But because this one doesn't have a direction, it doesn't really matter. All right? So now what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna sew these together. So I'm gonna go here. So you see, you have this open like that, and you're gonna bring this in together. Okay, you'll bring this in together like that and sew it, right? Then this in together, right? Let me just grab some pins. Sew this in together. Right, and then literally just follow the sides. You put the sides together and you sew it. So you're going to be sewing this like this. Okay? All right. So you know we have to go sew this. So I'm going to put it here to the side, and I'm going to work on the lining. So I'm just going to cut the lining. So I have my square 36 by 36. .36 by 36. I'm going to fold it in half and then fold in half again. Leave my folds to the side. Put my fabrics even. I'm going to go 4 inches from my fold in and 14 down. 14 here. I'm gonna cut it. Okay, and the same thing here. I'm gonna go 4 inches up and 14 inches in. Alright, so I have my lining here. So now we're going to work on the divisions that go in the middle. You're going to pick up 2 of these pieces because you end up with 4. And 2 of your outside fabric, or you can use just the outside fabric if you'd like. But I'm just going to use 2 of each. Okay, so I end up with 4 pieces. What I'm going to do from one side of my fabric, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these and one of these together, right sides together. And what we're going to do is we're going to be sewing this top here and this bottom here. These 2 sides we're going to leave it open. Right? Then we're going to grab this one also, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to be sewing here and here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew these 2 pieces, and I'll be right back to show you your next step. So I'm back. So what I did is I sewed the both sides like I mentioned, and then I turned it to the right sides of my fabric, and I already pressed it. Okay, so I did the same with both. Now what you can do is in one of the sides that we have here, you can do a top stitch in one of them, but you don't even have to, but I will do a top stitch in one of them just to make sure that they're both the same size, that they should be exactly the same size, both pieces. Okay, so after you've done this, I want you to take 1 inch off from one of the sides that's open. So I'm gonna get a ruler and I'm gonna take 1 inch off from the side that's open. Look at my cutter. Okay, and do the same thing to this one. Just want to make sure they're both the same size. Okay, 1 inch. Okay, so now we're gonna attach this after you do 1 top stitch in one of the sides here. We're gonna get our lining. Okay, the lining, they look exactly like your front side. Again, this part here, if you want the stabilizer, you can put a stabilizer in between if you want this to be slightly thicker between your bottles. Okay, I chose on this one not to. On this one I did. So as you see, it's very thick and heavy. But if you're trying to make these to sell, by the time you add all the stabilizers and everything, it's just going to become expensive. So it's up to you, whatever you decide that you want to do. If you want to do as for a gift, I would probably use a stabilizer so it's nicer, it looks nice and thick. All right. If you're just using for yourself, just, you know, to go to the grocery store and you want to put a couple even pop bottles or anything like that, you know, one layer is fine, you know. And the bag ends up very strong because there's no seams here in the bottom to make it weak, as you see, because the fabric goes like this, so it's very strong, the bottom. All right, so we're gonna get our lining, and what we're going to do is put it the wrong sides like this, and we're gonna need to add these to the inside of our lining. So the easier way is put this side like that, right? Then you're gonna get this one in here. Oh, sorry, missed a step. Before we attach this to our lining, we have to attach these two pieces together. So I'm gonna put this side with this side. I think I was a little bit ahead of myself. Okay, so we're gonna have to find the middle of this. So what I have here, I have about 13, so about 6.5. Okay, so we're gonna go 6.5. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. And I'm gonna draw a line here. So before I attach this to my lining, okay, I need to sew these together here in the middle. All right, so not the side that's open, this stays to the side, it's these sides here that they are closed, that you have the line on. All right, so the size, okay, so I'm gonna go to the machine and sew this here. I'm gonna do my top stitch across here and across here, and then I'm gonna sew my seam here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. So I did my top stitch there. All right, and let me just trim these threads. And I also sew that together, so you end up with something like this. All right, so now we're gonna get the lining. Sorry about that. So here's our lining, and again we had opened it like that, so we're gonna put this side together, and now we're gonna get our fabric here. We're gonna open that up, and we're gonna go here. I'm gonna bring this all the way to the bottom as far as you can. Okay, and you're gonna line that up with one side, and you're gonna bring that up and even it out, so these two sides together, and we're gonna pin okay. Then our next part here, because that's one, it's gonna come to this side here, so her next opening here, so this is also gonna come here again all the way to the bottom. Then this one is gonna go on top, gonna even them out. the top together and this together. All right, so that's 2. So now I have my next opening. So then I'm gonna get my next piece here, the same thing. I'm gonna find my bottom here, okay, and I'm gonna bring my next piece in on top, even it out. I teach kids to sew, and they decide to put all the pins in here on this side of my pin cushion. I just realized now. All right, so I'm gonna put that there. Okay, now I have one last piece, so then that one there and my last piece here. Same thing. I'm gonna bring it all the way to the bottom here and put it down. Bring the last piece here on top. Even it out. Pin it. Okay, so now it looks like this. You see the inside and the outside like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this to the sewing machine. I'm gonna do all my seams. Also, I'm gonna do my outside fabric the same thing. I'm gonna sew all my seams there that I already pinned, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I sew my front, did all my seams, and I sew my lining also. Okay, and this is what it looks like. Trim any extra threads you have just to clean it up so it looks a little nicer. All right, this is my lining. Okay, before we attach these two together, we need to work on the straps. And the straps that I have here, I cut again from that yard, whatever I cut off from the length of my fabric. I took 2-inch strips. So I took 2 inches of this color of the cream and 2 inches of this, and mine I'm doing it about 22, so 2 inches by 22. And I also, for my straps, I'm using fusible. That I want to fuse because I want them to be a little soft, because when you put bottle, they're quite heavy, so you want to do that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to fuse this to the front of my fabric, here and here. And then after they're fused, I'm going to put right sides together, right? And I'm going to sew it around. Okay, I'm going to leave one opening here, and I'm going to turn it to the right side. Then after they're turned to the right side, I'm going to do a top stitch all the way around, just like this. Like you see here, there's a top stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. So I'm back. I sew my straps. Now just make sure they're exactly the same size. Okay, so measure them. Make sure they're the same size. And now we're going to attach this to our outside fabric. So from one of the seams here that you see here, there's the seam here and seam there, we're going to get one of our straps. Now you decide what color you want to the outside, if you want this to be the outside or that to be the outside. Okay, I'm going to put the grape side to the outside. So from my stitch here that I have here, as you see, I'm going to go about 1/2 inch in, about 1/2 inch in, and I'm going to put it there. Right, so I'm going to put a pin, hold it in place, go to this side here where I have my other seam here, again about 1/2 inch in. Make sure the strap is proper so it's not twisted. So I want to make sure I have about 1/2 inch. Okay, so I have about 1/2 inch between my seam and the strap. I'm gonna put that one there, and I'm gonna do the same to this side here. So now should be a little easier because I already have that one there. So I'm gonna put seam to seam. I'm gonna get my strap, and when I put that together there, I can already see where my strap should be. See where the other side is? So I'm gonna put it there. And the same with this one, that's there. And right there. So you're gonna go ahead and take this to the sewing machine and secure it in place first. I would go back and forth because this is going to be holding a lot of weight, so you wanted to make sure this is really secure. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to secure this really back and forth. I know we're still going to sew the lining and then the top stitch, but the more it's secured the better. And I also recommend that when you make bags, stuff that's going to carry a lot of heavy stuff, that you use a good polyester thread that's a little bit stronger than the cotton. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead over there and just secure these in place, and I'll be right back. So I'm back. So I secure all my straps in place. You see they're secure in place. All right, so now I need to attach this to my lining. Okay, so as you see, I already have this in between, but as you see here, there's a distance between my folds and the top of my fabric, and I left this part here. That's why I pushed this all the way down, because I need that little space to sew my my outside fabric to it. So now what I'm gonna do, because now I have this in here, it's a little bit more difficult to do like right sides and right sides together. It still works the same way as right sides together. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna put this like that, and my straps have to go this way also. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go find one seam of this one and one seam of that one, and I'm gonna put them together like that. I don't care if this goes all the way down or not, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna match my seams, then this seam with this seam, and of course the straps have to be in there. And just in case I didn't mention, when I sew my bag together, I use 1/4 inch seam allowance here. Okay, all those pieces were 1/4 inch. Okay, so I strap in and match my seam. And strap in. And match the other seam here. Okay, so as you see, this doesn't really go down too much because I have the middle of the lining in there, so it kind of interrupts it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew this all the way around, and not on the side that I have the handles, on the other part here I'm gonna leave an opening, and I'm gonna use about 1/2 inch seam allowance here, not 1/4, about 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and sew this all the way around, and I'll be right back. So I'm back. So I sew all my top all the way around. So you see that's my outside fabric. I attach it to my lining, and I left an opening here on the top. Let's look for the opening right here. So now I need to turn this inside out. I left a small opening. I left about 2 inches. I probably would leave it slightly bigger because it's kind of difficult to turn with a small opening. But now since I left it, I'm gonna do my best to turn it. So I'm gonna go in here, and I think I'm gonna pull my outside fabric first. Especially if you have lining, if you line these, definitely leave a bigger opening because otherwise it will be hard to turn. Okay, so Okay, so it's gonna look kind of weird like that, but it will turn out just right when you push your lining into your outside fabric. You push that back in here and look, and it's fine. All right, see that? Turned out just fine. See that? Okay, so your next step will be ironing these edges really well. And as you see, I still have a tiny little bit here for a top stitch. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna iron it, do a top stitch, and I'll show you what's my next step, okay? Because we need to put this bag like with a shape, and in order to do that, we still have one more step. All right, so I'll be right back. So I'm gonna go iron, do my top stitch, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I did my top stitch around. So as you see on this bag here, I have a couple seams there just to give you the shape so the bag can kind of have a better shape. So on this one, we're going to do the same thing. Where you have the seams here and you also have the seam there, you're going to make sure that those two seams are evenly together. Okay, like that. I'll put a couple clips. You're going to put your hand in and fix the seams so the lining on the seam on the lining in your lining and the seam on your outside fabric are even together. You're going to put a couple of stitches, couple clips here to hold it in place. All right, just go with your fingers and make sure they're all there matching, seam with seam, the inside seam and the outside seam together. Put some clips. And then you're going to be doing a seam here. Okay, here I think I use about a 1/2 inch. Yeah, about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You're going to do that there. You're going to do the same thing with the other seams. You're going to do all of those seams the same. So you're going to put that seam together. Okay, so you're going to do that too. Here, this other seam here, and this other seam here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll be right back and show you done. Okay, and I'm back. So I sew all my sides. Just trim your threads. Any threads you have, just be careful you don't cut your fabric, because sometimes that can happen. And we are all done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. We'll see you next time on Sewing Saturdays. Happy sewing everyone, and thank you for watching.